And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thomson. 100% agree. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
That's right. You heard him, John. Oh, look at you. Flex, baby. Go.
Big,
Your neck's got to be 13 inches.
Big
That's
Josh
awesome.
McCarthy.
You just pencil neck geek now.
Look at that
I
thing.
saw a picture. I was watching your fight with Hermes Franca.
Oh.
And and they put a picture of you up. And dude, back then I go, look at the fucking neck on Josh. That's a fucking neck. And now it's doing what mine's doing. See, now hold it. Now, if Dave knew this, I would be very impressed because see, back when I was young, there was this professional wrestler named Freddie Blassie.
I thought you were talking about the 24-inch pythons.
No, not Hulk Hogan. Freddie Blassie used to call everyone a pencil neck geek. He goes, you're a pencil neck geek. And so I always that was a big thing, man. Had to do neck rolls, get my neck big. Didn't want to be a pencil neck geek.
Dave wouldn't have liked him because he would be referring to Dave.
Now,
yeah.
Now, Dave, you and I all fit into the category. We're getting to be pencil neck geeks.
No, man. I'm trying to get it back. I got to wait till the stem cells are fully.
No. Don't go back. Are you going to do like neck rolls and stuff?
I'm going to do everything.
No, don't do it. I'll tell you what. Have you ever tried the iron neck?
That thing that goes around your head like a
you look like Saturn.
I've heard about it. I've seen it.
Yeah, I have one. They're good, dude. They work.
I've also just used a towel. You just bite down on a towel and just use it connected to like a kettlebell.
Yeah, that's why you're called a caveman.
I mean, John.
Okay, I try to bring you into the 21st century, and what do? I use the towel. I bite on the towel.
That's why I still have a nice jawline. I mean, look, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Let's not make it more difficult than it really needs to be. So
it's not.
Yeah, it's easy.
The iron neck is not difficult. You put it on, you strap it to a thing, and you sit there and you turn your head around. You can even walk around in circles.
But you pay for it. I'm not paying for that crap. I'm not paying for that. That's just not me.
You're just a cheap ass.
I am a cheap ass.
Now Dave pops in.
See, I'm not too shy about that type of stuff. You guys have to understand. I am super cheap when it comes to things. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll buy the things one thing I won't be cheap on is food. If I go out to dinner, whatever it is, I'll spend money on food because it goes right into my body, man. I'll spend it, but I'm the guy. Like today, I went to Dick's Sporting Good, the little hand pump that I have for soccer balls and footballs and all that stuff. It just stopped working. Like it just wasn't the air I'd push out and the air would go out the side. I was like, all right. So I sat there. I kid you not, for a good 15 minutes, weighing the $15 one versus the $12 one. That was it, and I still went with the $12 one. I don't even know why I was there weighing it. I was like, it's something like, it's just me. That's what I'll do. I'll do that every single time. I'm so cheap. Doesn't matter what it is. It comes to even like shoes and stuff. I'll look at a pair of shoes and be like, you know what? I love these shoes. No matter what, I will never buy them the first day. Oh, yeah. I'll leave and I'll come back like a couple days later and see if I still like them the same way.
Why?
Same way. I don't know what it is.
I do that on the internet, Josh. I'll look at shoes and I'll bookmark them, and then I'll just sit and go on every day, and I'll look. You know that app Honey that it's on your browser that finds the coupons?
Nuh-uh.
Hold on. You have an app called Honey, and it's not porn.
It's coupons.
It finds coupons.
John, if we ever start a porn site, we've got to call it Honey.
We're calling it Honey.
Yeah, or we'll call it Honey Bee. We can call it Honey Bee or something like that. Honey, but Honey sounds awesome.
I go on there and I just hit refresh every day and just see if the coupons start working on the sneakers I like until the sneakers fall into that category of not discountable.
Oh man,
I do.
Yeah, it's just not. I just can't do it. Because I guess I took it from what's that movie Blindside with Sandra Bullock when she's like, you're never gonna love it more than you're gonna love it that day when it's on the shelf. If you don't love it when it's on the shelf that day, then you're never gonna love it more than that. When it sits in your closet, you'll never love it that much. So if I don't love it, if it's not something I'm like,
I don't buy clothes.
I've got to have it. then
I
I'm
don't
like,
buy clothes, though.
I don't really
I
fucking.
don't buy clothes.
Yeah, I mean, like I haven't
But
bought
with
clothes in a long
shoes,
time.
you gotta wear shoes, right?
I wear shoes, but you know what? I used to be a shoe whore. I did.
Yeah.
Used to get all kinds of different tennis shoes. Now, dude,
Now he's just a whore.
muck boots. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm big into anything that I can step into a giant mud hole or a patch of cow turd,
Yeah.
and it doesn't bother me.
My dad had like probably 4 or 5 pairs of these boots called Red Wings.
Yeah,
That's
Red
all
Wings,
he'd wear.
Work boot. Yeah,
That's all he'd wear. He wouldn't wear anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
he would go camping with them. He'd go hiking with them. He'd go hunting with them. He'd go fishing
Dude,
with
they're
them.
boots.
Didn't
They're
matter.
good boots.
He'd work in them. He didn't care. It didn't matter what it was. He'd wear Red Wings everywhere. Yeah, that was his
Not to
thing.
brag, but I ran 3 half marathons this week, so I've been keeping my eye on the market for
3 half marathons this week.
I thought he was going to brag and said he ran that 3 half marathons in Red Wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah,
Yeah, right.
that would have been
one.
impressive. That would have
Would have been very impressive. Quite a few blisters.
Oh. They're pretty comfortable from what I understand. I've
No,
never had
they
a pair.
are, but man, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to run in them.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Before we get started, though, you guys, we want to continue to thank you guys for supporting our channel and supporting our show. And please hit that subscribe button down below. Hopefully you guys enjoy our content. Hit the little bell notifications. I should say, changed up our format. Is that we normally talk just all about the fights and we cut the clips for the news, and those will go throughout the week. On this weekend show, we're going to include some of the news on this weekend show because the fights were good. We didn't get a lot of things that we were hoping to get out of the fights, but so we're going to go ahead and bring in some news content for this show. But overall, the fights, had some moments that we could definitely
Good moments,
some good
boring
moments, and we'll pull from there. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up and the bell and the notifications so you guys can see when we drop our content throughout the week. And like I said, thank you guys continuously to support us, and it means a lot to us. Thanks so much. Let's go ahead and get started.
Well, we did have Fight Night 85 from the Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Delice versus Imavov, however you want to say it. I heard them say it both ways.
They said it a bunch of different ways.
Oh, I know. It's like, okay, so I don't have to worry about it. So I always say Imavov, so I'm just going to go with that. But Nasruddin Imavov taking on Roman Delice. I expected it to be that fight where Imavov would use his, in my opinion, technically better stand-up to try to maintain distance, keep Delice into trying to take him down. He's got really good wrestling as far as his defense anyways. And I knew it would be difficult, but I did think that he would, and I've always seen him, as fights get longer, he gets tired. And I thought Delice would kind of take over. It kind of worked a little bit that way, but it was really a weird fight.
Yeah.
It was a fight that, Delice took an ass whipping in that first round. Boy, he got hit. He got hurt. He got popped when he was on the ground. That was a big, big round for I'm about to start off with. But it was one of those, both had their moments. You had the foul that took points away from Nasruddin, and it was like, yeah, they should have taken the points. You're looking, you go, I hate the fucking rule. It's a stupid fucking rule, but it's there. And when you're looking at him and he's looking at him and he just kicks him, it's like, well, what the fuck, dude? You don't get the freebie when you're looking at him. If you can't see and you're over the top of him and you throw the knee, kind of like Arnold Allen did with Imavov.
No.
It's understandable.
Gotcha.
Huh?
It's not Imavov, the one that
Evolov.
There you go.
Yeah. But it's understandable in that position. This one, you go, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Man?
Well, he had done that technique earlier in the fight as well. He had him against the fence.
He did. He landed it, but he was up.
Yeah. I think all that's going to be a moot point as we move forward with the rules change here, I think pretty soon. If they can move it.
Change.
Which I think they will. I think everyone,
it's been voted on by the rules committee. I'm part of that. It's been voted on by the rules committee to make the change. Now you've got to get all of the athletic commissions to vote to make the change. That's a little more difficult.
The California Commission is kind of head fronting this, right? Or is what do you call it?
Well, and Andy Foster is the head of the rules committee.
Yep.
So yes, California Commission, I guess if you want to say that, is the one that's kind of pushing that forward, and it's a good thing.
And his relationship with like Illinois, and his relationship with Vegas, and his relationship with New York are all seem to be pretty much intact, correct?
Yeah, but see, this is what you got to politics, Josh. Politics.
Go figure.
You know, you look at, and what'll happen is this. You know, it doesn't matter especially now. You take a look at it. Used to be that California did by far more fights than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
When you looked at both boxing and MMA, they would do about 200 shows a year, comparative to, you know, Nevada, which everyone thought was doing somewhere around 30. You know, something in there. Now Nevada, based upon the Apex Center, does quite a few more because they're doing a lot of UFCs. They used to do about 5 to 6 to 7 UFCs a year. Now they're doing all of these Apex shows, and so they add up. But whether you're California or Nevada and doing a lot of shows, or you're a state or a tribal commission that does maybe one show a year, your vote counts the same. It's the same thing, you know? And so sometimes it gets to the point where you'll get a commissioner who will say, I'm not going to do it, you know, because, you know, California thinks that they're special. No, California's trying to do what's right. And you should just always be trying to do what's right. But you will get people that they get egos. And it's one of the things that I've learned you have to deal with in times and stuff. And you got to be able to talk to that person and make them understand exactly why they should vote to change that rule.
California is a little short yellow bus special, but we like to give them a little bit more credit than that when it comes to this type of system, because Andy is a great commissioner. Yeah, he does a great job. I think he's definitely easy to talk to. He's somebody that I've had countless talks with on how we try to improve the sport in so many different ways, whether it was weight cutting, whether it was rule changes, whether it was just on how to approach fighters and their not mentalities, and their actions inside the cage or outside the cage, you know, and whether they want to start slapping fines on, how do they put the fines on, and is it a deserving of a fine? I've had plenty of conversation with him. He's been amazing to talk to. He's 100% approachable. And if fighters ever feel the need to talk to someone, I would recommend talking to Andy Foster. It's just a matter of time. I believe that once this rule, once they start voting on it, once a couple of them start making the change, obviously the two biggest ones will be California and Vegas. And I think once those two make the change, hopefully the rest of them start to follow suit. I think Chicago and New York, if they jump on the bandwagon, the rest of the states would probably go, you know what, possibly.
Chicago's Illinois.
Sorry, Illinois. Sorry, my bad. Yeah,
I do. Right, dude.
I said Illinois earlier, and then I went to
you
know, but no one's fucking fighting anywhere else outside of Chicago and Illinois.
Well, it's like Nevada. They don't fight basically much outside of Las Vegas, but it's this, Nevada State Athletic Commission.
Well, there's fights in Reno.
Yeah, not a whole lot. Let's just be honest.
All right.
Not many.
I think it's just a matter of time in this situation and circumstances. Look, you wonder sometimes, is he being dirty? Because seemed like it was so blatant. Yeah, you could see the head.
It's just, that's where you look and you go, hey, you can see where his body position.
Yeah, you
can see where he's at. You're looking and you decide, I'm just bringing it up. No, it's time to take a point because you're just not being an intelligent fighter.
Yeah. I agree, and I'm glad that he did it right off the bat. There was no like him and Han. There was no like, you know what? Let me look at the replay. No, it was like, look, it obviously seemed to be blatant. Now, look, the Lizzi could have taken the easy way out.
Could have,
but he was also down on the cards, and that was in round 4, correct?
Yes,
I believe that was in round 4. So as soon as round 4 starts,
so it would have gone to the cards there, and
he would have lost.
He would have lost there too.
Yeah. Kind of a no-brainer for him to continue to fight on. Overall, though, my take on the fight is I sat here the other day and I said that I thought Roman was going to win this fight. I thought because the power, the aggressiveness, was going to be the difference. I thought Imavov is a very talented technical fighter, but the way that you beat those kind of fighters, especially in the sport of MMA, is when you take someone who is a traditional stand-up guy who looks clean, very technical, you start walking him down and putting pressure on him like Sean Strickland does, and like he did against Izzy. If you're able to do something like that and make him fight an uncomfortable fight, then you have a better chance. And I thought for sure that he would just walk through what Imavov was doing and just deliver big shots and put so much pressure and swing wild and make it a very uncomfortable fight for Imavov, which then when I started hearing the commentary halfway through the first round of them talking about how they were trying to settle him down because it was a 5-round fight, trying to get him to fight at a pace, not to be so wild, I was like, he lost. As soon as that was said to me, he was going to do something that he doesn't normally do. It turned me off right away. I was like, yeah, I don't think that he's going to be able. You saw it right away. He came out very relaxed, which was good, but
he normally comes out fast.
He comes out fast and aggressive, and you've got to learn to fight the way you normally fight, even though it's a 5-round fight, but then learn to take your breaks in the middle somewhere. You can't change the way your fighting style is. Like a Michael Chandler. I'll give you an example. You guys know how I feel. But look, the bottom line with Michael Chandler is, when he takes a step back and he bounces around, what is he doing, John?
Taking a breath.
He's taking a breath.
He needs air.
He needs air. He can't fight 110 miles an hour the whole 5 rounds or the whole 3 rounds. He takes a step back. He bounces around. He shakes his arms out, and that's his moment to get his breath. He knows what he's doing. He knows how he's learned how to fight around his style of fighting. Run himself into a wall as many times as he can, and when he can't, he takes a step back and he gets his breath. Delice needs to learn to fight that way. And in terms of being a little bit more fighter IQ, I thought it was good that he put himself through something new and different, but you've got to still fight your normal way because, like I've said before, when Dave was talking about when he ran his half marathons and all these other things, I can't run with somebody who can't run with me because it's annoying to run at a slow pace. And I'm sure Dave maybe can attest to this. I don't know. But when you're used to running at your own pace, I'm not there to talk. I'm not there to have a conversation. And if we can talk while we're running side by side, great. But if I start to get a little bit ahead of you and you can't keep up, or if I get a little behind you and I've got to run at my pace, that's fine. I prefer just to be in my focus, in my zone. And it actually makes me more tired when I have to run at a slower pace. It just is miserable. And so
whether you run slower or faster, it's hard on you.
You have to be able to fight at your pace. Yeah, you have to be able to fight at your pace, just like you have to be able to run at your pace. You have to be able to find your stride. That goes in this, that goes in running, that goes in fighting. And so once he got out of his stride, he just was battling. And then he started developing bad tendencies as it started going. Maybe I didn't catch this before. He dips his head to the right every single time.
All the time.
Every time. When he dips the knee up the gut, and that's actually what hurt him in that first round, was that knee hit him first to the liver, and then the shots hit him and put him down. Like, that's what hurt him. It was so, if you dip that way, you're hunched over, it's easier to get the knee to come up or a knee to the head, either way. But it was a downhill, process for him from then on. And I didn't see him really coming back after that first round.
But the first round, you got to look, and he took a lot of damage. But as the second round started, it was, you looked at Imavov and you said, he's a little bit tired. He put a lot of energy out in trying to finish him there, and he's a little bit gassed. And you could see he was trying to slow things down, and it looked like Delice was going to come back and take the round. But, Imavov really was the one taking the round. And then the third round, almost the same thing. It was just a weird flow to the fight. It just was very slow at times, with a lot of the grappling up against the cage and a lot of the, kind of takedown attempts, but really didn't get there a whole lot. A lot of 50-50 position, getting the underhooks. You see Imavov, changing that over and stuff. I loved when when Delice finally dropped down and tried to, go for the knee bar at one point. He then, looked over he was almost thinking towards the calf slicer, and then, decided to try to crank on the toe hold, but, none of it worked for him. But hey, he was trying. He was going for it. And it's the one thing I appreciate out of that fight I look at it that at least Elite was trying and attempting to do something to win the fight. I think he knew that he was behind. I think Imavov knew that he was ahead and was kind of coasting at the end a little bit to just say, I'm just going to touch you and just keep you away. And this is my fight.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I thought Delitze, look, it's very difficult in the 5th round to get any type of submission. You're slippery, you're exhausted. Every time you see the attack, it's already gone. It's over.
Yeah.
You're like, shit, where'd it go? Yeah. So you've missed that moment. And that's kind of what I saw from him in that 5th round. Sure, the toe hold was there, the calf slicer was there, but it was just a second or two too far behind that he wasn't able to get to that position. So the toe hold looked like there was an opportunity and a chance.
Yeah. But you got to look and say, I thought Imavov won the first, second, third rounds. To sit there and say it was a 10-8 in the first, I don't think so, even though, and I'm kind of was texting with you, Nevada, they're very tight with the 10-8s and what they want and stuff. And then I looked and I thought that, Delitze actually did well in the 4th round. He had his moments. And with the point off, that's a 10-8 if you give him the 4th. And you could almost look and say the 5th, I thought, went to Imavov. I thought he did better in it. But Imavov just made it seem like he kept it close because he wasn't try after the first round. Didn't seem like he really tried to finish him.
Yeah.
But that was just the way I was perceiving it.
Yeah, I also looked at the 2nd round as well. I said maybe Delitze. I thought Delitze won that fight, that round.
Could have
that round.
Yeah,
only because
in that I was looking at it, he did better. But he didn't probably do as well as Imavov in that round to actually win the round. He did better in the round than he did in the first round by far.
But when I looked at the punch stats in that too, and I know punch stats can be can sway people's opinions when looking at it. They don't mean shit.
Sure.
Okay. But the punch stats were extremely close. I think it was 10 punches to 12 punches or some shit in the 2nd round because Delitze was able to control a lot of the clinching in that position. He also seemed like he was the fresher fighter, even though he got his ass kicked in the 1st round. But I think because Imavov blew himself up trying to get the finish. And so he was having a harder time, I think, recovering shoulders, back, whatever it was, seemed a little bit more tired in that 2nd round and the clinch work. So I would say it was, I could have seen it being a 10-8 round for Imavov in the 1st. But I could have seen it being a 10-9, and then you could have had Delitze 10-9. So going into the 3rd, I had Imavov win in the 3rd, and then I had Delitze win in the 2nd. Sorry, not the 2nd, but the 4th. So the 4th, though, I don't know. It was so close, the 4th. I could see it being a 10-8 because of the point. So now,
it is. It's, if you give it to Delitze as a 10-9 round, even saying it was super close, it's a 10-8 round.
Yeah,
you're taking the point.
Yeah, so then that puts that little question mark on there. So if you didn't give Delitze didn't give Imavov a 10-8 in the 1st, you could have potentially had a draw.
Well, one of the judges did. In fact, it was my son, 47-47. And that
so
means
great.
that
You pay
he
attention
gave
to that.
3 rounds to Imavov, and 2 rounds to Delitze, but because of the point deduction, it becomes a draw.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting thing. Yeah. But because I was texting you too for the what fight was it? One of the fights where someone got dropped twice in the 1st round. It was the Charles Johnson.
Charles Johnson
fight. Yeah, we're not going to skip to that, but I was actually just talking about how I thought maybe that 1st round could have been a 10-8 round because he got dropped twice in that round.
Twice. He almost got submitted.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't
tight,
but it was on. It was on. He just did a very good job of defending, and he relaxed.
Yep.
So.
So you and I were texting look, I would say it could potentially be one, but Vegas doesn't give out 10-8s very easily, which I kind of think that they shouldn't. I mean, I know that we should give them out a little bit more than normal, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. When I look back at the Charles Johnson fight, I'm like, okay, look, he got dropped, but he wasn't like he was on ice skates, right? He got put down and then he got back up and then he got put down again, from a jab, I believe, and it was off balance. The submission got put on as well in the first time he got dropped. And when the submission got put on, he was still there enough to defend the way he did so well that his opponent
He
basically
burned the arms of
it burned him
Max him out.
He was kind of not the same fighter after that.
Mm.
And so I thought that was one of those fights where I'm like, okay, I understand the logic of not giving it a 10-8 because he wasn't rocked, he wasn't hurt, he wasn't any of those things. So that clears up on the main event. But then, hey, I expected fireworks out of the co-main event. It was probably one of the better fights, on the card in terms of action. But when we had sat here last week, we talked about how would Moicano win this fight and how would Drew Dober win this fight. And the two ways were, and actually for both fighters. For Moicano, we said that he needed to get the takedowns, threaten the takedowns. Would he do it, though? Would he spend the energy trying to get takedowns?
Yes, as soon as he got hit by Dober, he goes, I'm going for the takedown.
And then I was actually surprised that they came as easy as they did. I expected.
I was too.
Yeah, I expected.
I was surprised at how well he stepped to the side and got to the side of Dober, where I'm like, Drew, you got to turn your hips, man. You got to adjust. It wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And he did it multiple times. So obviously the way he was doing it had Dober confused.
It threw me off. It actually threw me off a lot because I was expecting Dober to have a little bit better. I've seen him have great takedown defense. I've seen him fight hard. He had moments, but in that first round, I think he was 1 for 1 or whatever in the takedowns, but he was struggling to get up. Trying to get himself back to guard. Then when his coach told him, go to your butterfly sweep, that was able to create some space and get himself back up a couple times. I think when you're somebody like when you're working with somebody like that with a Drew Dober, you've got to explain to him the importance of aiming for the chest more so than aiming for the head, especially when you know the opponent wants to take you down. That's one. Two is with Drew Dober is he's got quick hands, very explosive. He fights in a phone booth really well. And for him, most of his damage was done in that position there. He was able to land some big shots. But those things led to takedowns because he started loading up or kind of swinging a little loopy and wide, and that's what got him taken down.
In looking at the fight, like we said, look, Dober's going to want to keep it on the feet and use his heavy hands. And it was clear that the power that he possessed was affecting Moicano to the point where he got rocked a couple of times in that fight. You could see it, and he immediately went into a clinch or a takedown situation and basically dominated the ground. But let's give him credit where credit is due. He took the fight to the ground, but he didn't just lie on him. He was doing work. He was staying busy. He was trying to pass at times. Sometimes he got to where he wanted. Sometimes he didn't, but he was always sitting there trying to do more. The first round was obviously his. I thought, Drew landed some good shots in the beginning, but too much time on the ground, too much as far as volume, as far as Moicano. The second round he was winning until Drew got up and hurt him again, and then ended up on top. And, he did some damage. The cut was, I think, based upon a clash of heads.
On the lateral drop, correct?
Yeah.
I had Drew win in the second round anyway. So
did I.
Okay, because I thought he did the most damage. I know it seemed like the cut came from the head.
Yeah, but there was still more than that. And so
yeah, I mean the first part of that second round, I didn't see what I needed to see out of there. I didn't see enough damage.
Slow.
I didn't see enough work. I saw maybe some efforts to pass. I didn't see enough damage being done from the top position. And Drew for a minute 15
what Drew did for a minute and 30, minute 15.
I thought it was pretty damn good. So I gave him the second. He definitely lost the third though, so that put him out of the range. But John, I guess the highlight of this whole thing is the post fight interview. The post fight interview. Go ahead, John. I'm gonna let you because you text me going, I love this.
If there's one thing that Renato Moicano has figured out, it's when you have a chance to speak into that microphone. You don't need DC or Joe Rogan to ask you a question. Yeah. Just go. And he is going. He started off. I mean, I was cracking up because he attacked multiple people. He attacked the MMA guru, which cracks me up. He said, told him what he thought of him. Attacked multiple, people with that. Then he starts going off on his dad is, 62 years old and just had a kid.
Jesus.
And so now he's basically got to go jump on his wife and have another kid because, there's got to be more Moicanos because I can't be, beat by my father and having children. So he goes through that. Then he goes into, he's going to become a citizen here and he wants to be a police officer. Not only a police officer, I want to be in SWAT and I want to kill people. Bad guys. So at least he wants to kill bad guys. That's good. And so then on top of that, then he goes into, America, what is wrong with you? We got to fix this country. You people are losing it. You're going to be a third world country. You get your shit together. And I was like, well, listen to this. And we have a guy from Brazil telling everyone, hey, I don't know what you guys are seeing, but I'm seeing something and it looks fucked up.
Yeah.
I was laughing. I thought he was hysterical.
John, you know what surprises me? Well, what surprised me is that his dad's 60 years old and just had a fucking kid.
62 years old having a kid?
Dude,
if I had a kid right now, I would shoot myself.
In my 40s, man, I'm trying to keep up with the ones that I have.
Oh, my God.
Man, I was at the soccer field half the day today, and I'm like, I walked in the house, I'm like, oh, I'm exhausted, man. Thank God there's fights tonight. Just to lay down on the couch and watch them. I was like, all right, kids, go away, get away.
Man, I have my grandson this morning. I'm out, going to the pigs and to the goats and to the cows with him and having fun with him and, walking him around and showing him stuff. And that lasted for a good hour and a half. Here you go. He's back. I'm not responsible anymore.
This guy. Here you go. Back to you guys.
It's the best.
Oh.
It's the absolute best. I get to have fun with him, get to show him stuff, do things. And when it's time to go home.
Can I ask you a question? And I know this is not fight related. This has to do with his interview though at the end. But can I ask a question? Like, why is it that when we have people that come from other countries and they say that we're the greatest country in the world, and like we're starting to become like these other countries that have just fallen into a shithole? Why do media sources discredit what they have? If you read Twitter, I've read some of the media, they've already come out right away talking about his comments and discrediting him. Like, everything was great, his fight was great, but then he had his dumb interview at the end.
His interview was great.
Like, I don't understand. Like, these people have lived in these other countries. Let me finish. These people have lived in these other countries.
No, they haven't. Well, he has. Yeah.
Yeah, he has. That's what I'm saying. They've lived in these other countries, but the people that haven't lived in those other countries think they know better than him.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it completely baffles me.
Josh, I say it all the time, and I talk to people all the time about it. And I have been lucky enough. You've been lucky. You've gone all over. I've probably gone more places than you. Okay, I have been all over. I have
double my age. I hope so.
I have a world map, and I've got pins in it, of all the places that I've been. Now, some of those pins I could put in, 40 times.
Yeah,
but it's got a pin, for all the different countries and cities and stuff. I got like 280 some pins in that damn map. And that's just saying that I've at least been there once, and some of them, like I said, I've been there 20 times, 15 times, 10 times, and I've been just about everywhere. I haven't been to a lot of places in Africa. Okay. So that's one that I can't say anything about, but everywhere I go, I've
you have a pin in the tree that fell on you.
Yeah, that was a different one.
The tree left a pin in him.
Yeah, that's it. The tree left the pin in me. I've been to some great countries that I look at and I go, man, you know what? This is really a beautiful place. All these things. And I've been to some of the biggest shitholes the world has. And people in this country, especially the ones that complain, they need to go to those and they need to live there. And it will alter their perceptions. Let's just be honest about it. There's people protesting and doing things, and acting like, they want to help in this certain area, where that area, if that person went there, they would take them, they would bind their hands behind their back, and they would throw stones at them until they died. Okay. But we don't look at it that way.
We're
the bad ones.
It just baffles me that when I got on it because you had I muted the interview only because he was dropping F-bombs and I got 2 young kids.
And you got kids.
and I'm there listening. They're listening. They're like, what does that mean? I'm like, oh no, we're just mute. We're good. And you were texting me about how the interview was. But then I scrolled through Twitter to see what comments are and people like, while the fight's going on, see what their reaction is. So, cause I know we're doing the show directly after and just 2 media sources are on there talking about, oh, it was a great fight. Or, he showed up to fight, but then that media interview was trash. Like, I can't believe he wasted his interview saying stupid shit like that. I'm thinking to myself, you work for media. Like, have you been there? Have you lived there? Do you understand what he's talking about? And that just
have you walked in his shoes?
Yeah.
Have you walked in his shoes? Look, he's from Brasilia. Okay. I've been to Brasilia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I've been to all over Brazil. I've been to goddamn probably at least 15 cities in Brazil. Okay. And Brazil can be a great country and it has a lot of problems, just like the US. Mm-hmm. We got problems, but when our biggest problems are kind of like their biggest problems, it's the government. Mm-hmm. That's our problem. Yeah. We have people representing us that don't represent us. They don't care about what the average person wants. They care about what the fringe or the loudest mouths want, because that's what they think gets them votes. So it's not about doing what's right.
Yeah, it sucks. Anyways, I was just wondering.
For everyone that wants to type in there that I'm a horrible person, go ahead.
No, I just it's always just kind of thrown me for a loop that it doesn't matter even if it's media. I have friends that are just like, oh, well, we should do this, we should do that. And I'm like, these people that I know, that we know, that we're friends with, other friends that I have that we're friends with, they're telling you that we are slowly becoming like the country they left. Yep. And they would never wish that upon this country. That's why they came here. And yet you're telling this person they don't know what they're talking about. It just shocks me. Yeah. I'm like,
I love when you have someone come from, a country that, is a socialist country or a communist country and have lived under that and come to this country and say, I came here for freedom and it's beautiful here. Why are you people wanting to go into something?
Yeah.
I came from socialist country and I love it.
There you go.
And you want to go back?
Oh, hell no. I said I love it here.
You're from Scotland, right? Scotland?
Yeah, I'm from Scotland.
Yeah. You got your citizenship now, right?
Oh, dude, thank God.
Finally. Thank God. Got tired of you fucking being an anchor baby. Went out and had 2 kids out of anchor babies. No, now he's a citizen. No, I get it. All right, look, I know we got off topic, guys.
Okay. Oh, we did.
We got way
Let's
off
go
topic.
after Randy Brown, who put on a beautiful performance. God damn. But, okay, let me ask you. It may have been my TV. It looked like Randy Brown was a light heavyweight compared to a welterweight in Salikov. I mean, I was just like, God, look at the size difference there. Amazing.
John, you know who he reminds me of a little bit, though, in the lightweight division? Is the tarantula.
Oh, yeah.
Jalen Turner.
Randy
Brown obviously has a little bit more muscle, but but like he has that kind of body style, that tall, long, and lanky, but then he fights very well on his feet. Doesn't fight like Jalen Turner, but they're just very talented, man. They know how to use their length to their advantage.
Athletic.
You know how many guys that I've seen, like, what's the other tall guy who just fought? Wooding? Woodson. Woodson?
Woodson.
Yeah, so he doesn't know how to use his length to his advantage. Not as well as he should. Not like these 2 guys. He also doesn't have the athleticism that these 2 guys have. The Jalen Turner and Randy Brown.
Let's be honest. Randy Brown can be whatever.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants.
That dude could be a wide receiver in the NFL. He is an athlete. He is fast. Dude, just athletic.
Yeah. He's definitely an athlete, but he's got skills though too. Like the way he was setting things up, the way you can see his brain moving in there. He was waiting for Salikov, to constantly to be putting too much pressure. He never did. He was very patient with it. Salikov was, but when you're too patient, like when I had talked about the Imavov fight, was that if you're too patient with someone who is a good striker, someone who's a technical striker, someone who knows to utilize all those little tiny weapons and tools and fight composed like Randy Brown, Salakov's got to make something happen. You've got to make him feel uncomfortable. You can't let him fight a slowed down tempo fight where he's good. You've got to make them fight under pressure. He never really did that. The calf kick started looking like it was having a little bit of an effect.
A little bit.
But it wasn't enough. You've got to throw him more often. You've got to sometimes realize, this is always has kind of gone through my mind. You've got to sometimes realize that in no way will Randy Brown want to jump on top and go to grappling with you. Very much almost like how when Kane fought Junior. He's like, if I just shoot double legs on my hands and knees, I'll eventually get to you and get you down. And when I do, I'll just keep doing this over and over until you can't defend anymore. In these type of situations, throw that calf kick over and over and over again. If you go to the ground, Randy Brown's not just going to jump right on top of you and just try to play jiu-jitsu when he knows that his whole advantage is on the feet. Now, there's a danger there of being leg kicked and knocked out, all those things. But Randy Brown's got the reach, the range, the speed advantage all on his side. And I think he knew that. And so if you're a Salikov, you're thinking, just kick, and if I fall down, I fall down. If I get hit or knocked over off balance and I fall down, then I fall down. I'll get back up, because Randy Brown's not going to jump on top and try to play the jiu-jitsu game or the top game with him. Maybe not for a long time. Salikov starts threatening submissions or starts threatening sweeps. He'll just let him up. So why not go to the well as much as you can on the calf kicks?
Yeah, true. But it really, I look at the fight, and I'm being honest. I thought Salikov was fighting as what he could do in the stand up with a guy that has that much reach and range on him. He's got beautiful spinning attacks. He throws them fast.
Yeah.
But Randy was ready for all of them, moved himself out of position, to avoid all of them. But when he landed that one shot, dude, that was solid. It didn't look like it, but it was. Mm-hmm. That definitely rattled his cage. And the second one, you just made him not want to fight anymore. Yeah. So, but that was a big time win for Randy Brown.
Yeah, huge win. I'm looking forward to seeing him at welterweight. He's going to be a fucking problem. He's going to be a problem. I mean, I know that there's good wrestlers in the welterweight division. Dave, can you pull up you've got Colby who can wrestle. You've got Kamaru, if he's going to stay at that weight class, who can wrestle. Who else is in that weight class that can wrestle? Let's see. Sean Brady can wrestle. Colby, Gilbert Burns has got some pretty damn good wrestling. Shavkat, he's got wrestling, even though he doesn't utilize it a lot. Bilal definitely can wrestle. So he's got some problems up in there in that mix, But I mean, you look at guys like Vicente Luque, Jeff Neal, Ian Gary, Maddalena, Della Maddalena. Those guys aren't trying to wrestle him. They may try a little, but I don't think they're going to keep trying to push the pace on it. Keep trying to do it so much. Him and Kevin Holland would be a fun fight.
Oh, him and Kevin Holland, or him and Jack Della Maddalena.
Yeah,
that would be a good fight.
I mean, a good step up for him might be a Neil Magny. Not good for Neil.
He's got
not good for Neil.
Neil just stays in the fight until you make the mistake, and then he wins.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. Well, I heard that Randy Brown was trying to do this whole, I guess he ran into Michael Chiesa. Was like, hey, I think we should fight.
Yeah.
They saw a little Twitter thing going on there, and they were talking about, he's already pitching for the Michael Chiesa fight. I mean, I'd like to see a Kevin Holland or a Neil Magny fight with two long, tall, long, lanky guys out there. If not, then jump right up and let's get a taste of that Ian Gary. Let's get a taste of that Ian Gary. Let's go.
Look at him and Ian Gary would be a fun fight.
Yeah, it would.
It would be interesting. They're both super long, fast. Yeah. I think that would be a great matchup. I would.
Look, UFC, just call me if you need some matchmaking.
Yeah, that's it.
I got you.
Sean Shelby. You used to book me. Now I just use all of my fights.
Does Sean does he handle still the lightweights and below, or does
man, I don't know which ones they're
I'll have to call around.
They're doing. He used to have them all from lightweight down before, but he might still just have it that way with Mick doing the bigger guys.
Yeah. Got it.
But they also cross over, and I'm sure they help each other and stuff.
I'm sure there's a vote on some of the top fights.
Yep.
In those main cards.
All right, Natalia Silva taking on Viviana Arroyo. I'll tell you what, freaking Natalia Silva is fun to watch.
Yeah, she is.
She's fast. She throws a ton of different techniques. You know what? I really thought this was going to be a hard fight for her. Prove me wrong. She basically, walked away with that fight. Just, 29-28 on the cards, I know, but she's the one that landed the majority of the good shots. She's the one that actually hurt her opponent, in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
She just looked good, and she's difficult there. And you look at, didn't she fight Michelle Watterson? Wasn't that
I believe so. I think she pieced her up.
She did, and I was like, if you're piecing up Michelle in a stand-up fight, that's pretty good. Who was it that she pieced up? Andrea Lee. Andrea Lee was who she pieced up.
Maybe we were.
It wasn't.
We were both
Watterson. Yeah. But still, Andrea Lee.
Yeah.
Andrea Lee's a good fighter. Tough.
Yeah.
And pieced her up.
In this fight, look, when I was looking at the two of them before when we did the midweek show, when I looked them up, both of them, and kind of went through what I thought maybe the benefits of this fight would be. I thought Araujo was going to be able to handle the power, which she didn't handle as well as I thought she'd be able to. And It wasn't even so much the power. I just thought that I didn't think Silva had that type of power. I know that she has some power. She's explosive, fast. She gets it there. But I was expecting Araujo to be able just to walk through it and land her big shots. Because when you look at the two, one is more of a stalking type fighter who tries to land the big shot, and I expected Araujo to be able to do that. Where Silva, I thought, as she slowed down as the fight went on, because she has great lateral movement. She never stops moving, and when she does, it's ready to throw. She's got the guns cocked, and she's throwing her shots. Yep. And so I thought she fought a very good fight. I thought Araujo was going to be able to walk her down, put her under pressure, take her shots, and then by the second, third round, that Silva would slow down enough that she'd land a big shot and start making her fear what she was doing, and then she'd fight a very scared fight and then even get slower and start burning more cardio and adrenaline dump, and it would just all start being a snowball effect going downhill. That never happened. Never happened.
No.
It actually got stronger as she went on.
I really thought that my whole idea behind it was I thought Araujo would be able to use her stand-up to get into taking Silva down, and that physically was stronger, physically would be able to put her on the ground when she wanted. She wasn't able to.
No.
She just was not able to. And I give Silva credit. She showed that, you know what, she got takedown defense.
Yeah.
She's an all-around fighter. So I thought big win for her. I look forward to seeing where she goes.
Let's pull up the rankings on that too. Let's play matchmaker again. Let's love it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Silva was, I think, number 11, I think, is where she was. Flyweights. Yeah, not 205 pounders, or not pound for pounds.
Okay. Wait, right here.
Flyweights.
Yeah, right here.
You were on the heavyweight side over there.
No,
over
John
there.
Jones. Yeah,
all the way to the right.
All right. So here we are. Flyweights.
Figure
Dave. Flyweights.
Vivian Araujo was
that's
number
right here.
7.
Yeah, you're not there, Dave. You're
No, my mouse was right here, but like my mouse, like I have them right up.
Dave.
Yeah, she was number 7, while Natalia was number 9. So now Natalia's going to be going up. So taking a look at who's there, a lot of those already have fights coming up.
7.
Doesn't Macy have a fight coming up?
Oh, who? Macy Barber. She does.
Yeah,
that's coming up. I think it's Chikagian. I think is who she's fighting.
That's exactly what I was thinking. So that's 2.
I think Silva and Andrade would be a good fight. I like to see Silva and Andrade. She's going to jump to 7, so I'd like to see her and Andrade. If you put, I think give her the Andrade fight. If she does a great job, then you maybe start putting her against like an Aaron Blanchfield. Give her that. I think Farrow's going to end up getting the next title shot.
She's got. Hold on. Farrow's got a fight against Blanchfield coming up.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, John. It's all right. So the winner of that, I guess, I get the winner of that's going to get a title shot.
Huh?
I would imagine. So then you've got Silva. Silva's going to jump Hebus up to number 7 probably. Then you got Macy Barber, who's fighting Chikagian. The next best fight in terms of stature, size, physical ability is Jessica Andrade. It makes sense. Yeah. I just feel bad for whoever's got to fight Valentina Shevchenko. Because, I mean, you got to think about it. She's lost twice to Alexa Grasso, or not twice, but she's fought her twice. Draw, yeah. But when I'm looking at it, they're not going to give her the automatic rematch. She got to fight. Someone's got to fight Valentina Shevchenko. And that's a shitty position to be in. Like, you're getting the short end of the stick. Oh, that sucks.
Are you saying that the cards are not playing out in your favor here?
Yeah, that's, and if the UFC doesn't like you, they're going to do that shit to you on purpose. So, you know who else is in this mix though that I really want to see is Tracy Cortez. You got Cortez. She's, her and maybe her and Araujo fight as a step up or something somewhere in there. Yeah. Who knows? But that's another one that's kind of making a big splash right now. She just got to be more active. Her problem is she's not active enough. Tracy Cortez. All right, let's see the next fight.
All right, there's nothing to talk about. An 11-second fight with an eye poke when we had Hizriev against Muradov. I was looking forward to this. I thought this was going to be a really good fight. Muradov's got really good stand-up skills. He's tough when it comes to his defensive wrestling, but Hizriev is he's the black wolf. He's a tank.
I mean, we could spend 30 minutes talking about 11 seconds.
I know, but it's like,
no,
I mean, it's like,
it happens.
What do you do?
Nothing. There's nothing you can do about it. Our gloves are designed a certain way that's going to cause this almost, it's going to cause it all the time. You're going to get at least one a show, I think. You're going to continue to get one a show. Look, I think out of the gloves, I like the old school Pride gloves. I think those were the best. Most of the padding was in the back of the hand and more into the wrist. You had the glove, that little neoprene that went over your thumb. So it kept the gloves kind of secure and tight. You didn't have to worry about taping your thumb. So I hated having to tape my thumb. It just, because it always comes loose. And it also, sometimes when you tape it too tight, it cuts off the circulation. But the neoprene on the glove, I thought, and then the Pride gloves, as well as the Rising gloves, they're all still made the same way. But they're cupped more, so they keep your hands from
they have more of an arc.
Yeah, they have more of an arc. The old school Bellator ones had that too when they were made by Everlast.
Everlast.
They had that as well. Then the new Bellator ones didn't have it as much. They weren't as curved as much.
But one of the problems is this: we changed the rule. Basically, it was the John Jones rule. Because John would keep his fingers out there and do the basic big brother hold onto your head, but he would put his fingers out like it was a pitchfork in front of you, so you didn't want to come forward. And we said, all right, you can't do that. And it was supposed to be that your hand was a fist out, and then they said, well, you can put your fingers up. That was a mistake. That was the biggest mistake of that rule. Should never. And every time you try to, we'll give them this. Nope, don't. It would have taken care of most of your eye pokes and stuff, because most of them are defensive. Yeah. Most eye pokes are when someone is defending and trying to push away from their opponent. That's when the eye pokes happen.
My favorite gloves, though, were the Strikeforce gloves.
Yeah, with Fairtex.
They were fucking awesome.
They were.
Because
I was going to say that, but then you said the Pride, so I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, but my favorite gloves, I mean, I fought with the Pride gloves. I fought with the Dream gloves, which were basically the same exact gloves.
Same thing.
And same thing. But then my favorite gloves were the Strikeforce gloves. There was not a lot of padding in the knuckle, and it wrapped up kind of a little higher on the wrist, so it gave you good wrist
hand
support.
Up in front of the camera.
What?
Put your hand up, John.
Did it get?
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Blurry.
There you go.
Blurry.
Sorry, so padding on the gloves.
But yeah, it was so much easier to pummel. They didn't get stuck. They didn't have that extra little foam.
That's
piece.
Because they weren't wide.
No, they weren't.
They were actually pretty narrow.
Yeah,
and that made a big difference in them. I actually thought those were some of the better gloves out
jiu-jitsu
there.
For jiu-jitsu and grappling, when you were fighting, they were the best. Yeah. They were the absolute best. I loved them. Yeah, I mean, we never trained them though, because there was very little padding to them. So I never wore them for training, but I have a ton of them still around in the house. So, but yeah, those were my favorite ones. But in terms of, like the curvature of them was the Pride ones, which is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Next fight.
Charlie Radke taking on Gilbert Urbina, and Charlie Radke he's funny.
Yeah.
He's had multiple fights. I don't know if you remember his first fight.
Mm-hmm.
It was in a foreign country, and he basically told everyone, fuck you. It wasn't the smartest move, but he kind of did it again, just in the apex. But look, he's actually got skill. He called out Colby Covington, says, doesn't like him and stuff, but the guy can fight. Bilal Muhammad.
It was in his corner. Of course, he called out Colby Covington. Bilal's in his corner.
You don't think they had already pre-done that whole thing? Hey, when you win, this is what you're gonna say, right? Yep.
I'm gonna help you train. You're gonna talk shit to Colby for me.
Bingo. It's all good. But I tell you what, he hit freaking Urbina with a beautiful hook that was tight. It was clean. Put him down. One more shot. Actually, it hurt him prior to it, but when he put him down that second time, he is done.
Yeah.
You saw his eyes kind of. But
I think Charlie's got the potential. I think we got to slow the roll a little bit on the Colby Covington call out. I mean, Colby's still got a ton of talent. He's still extremely tough.
Oh, did you see the fight they're talking about with Colby?
No. What?
Shavkat.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about that.
June or something like that?
Yeah. Let's not ruin that. Calm down, John. Let's talk
Colby.
It's not real yet, though.
It's not real.
Yeah, you know what, Dave? You hope it's not real.
John. I think let's calm down. Colby's still extremely talented. He's got a gas tank still for days. He can still wrestle the shit out of people.
Especially 40-year-olds.
Yeah. John coming with the fire tonight, man. This guy. Man.
Start me.
Baraki looked good. I thought he looked great. I thought Urbina, though, he should have just had a little bit more output in terms of coming forward. He didn't really have that. I was expecting more out of him.
I thought it would have more.
Yeah, I thought he would be the one trying to push the tempo and the pace. He was on the outside more, and he got hit with the bigger shots. He got bullied around that cage. You can't let that happen, especially when you're the favorite. I believe he was the favorite for the fight.
Was he the favorite in that?
Yeah, he was the favorite, I believe.
Really? Wow.
All right, well, hey, let's talk about our girl, Molly. Can we even call her Meatball anymore? I wouldn't call her Meatball anymore. I can't call her Meatball anymore. Molly
not
McCann.
Meatball. She's vegetarian ball.
Vegetarian veggie. But against
Molly Veggie Ball McCann, because man, she was lean. She looked good.
She found her weight class.
Really good. Yeah.
This is where she should
be. She found her weight class. She found someone that taught her how to properly utilize nutrition to get herself to where she should be.
Okay, let's I want to talk about this. Let's not say that she found someone to properly utilize nutrition. She basically was affected by the way people were talking shit and understood that she messed up a couple times and she needed to fix it. Otherwise, she'd be unemployed. I thought that she stepped up, and it takes a strong person to do what she did, because not everyone wants to do what she did. There's guys There's guys that I've had in the gym. You have all this talent. You got to get yourself down to 155 or 170 or 185, whatever it is, but you're too fucking lazy to do it.
That's right.
You don't want to spend the time. That means you're not a professional. That's exactly what it means. And she understood, look, there's fun to go out party and have fun. Something switched. The reality is, if I want to keep doing this, I love it. I want to fight until I can't fight anymore. That means you need to start taking this a little bit more serious. When I continue to talk about fighters from Dagestan, it's because they take this 100% serious. Once they say they want to be a fighter, that's all they eat, breathe, and drink. Get fighters from the UK, fighters from the US, fighters from Brazil, fighters from wherever. They don't treat it that way. And that's why there's a little bit of a discrepancy. That's why there's a little bit of a gap between the levels of fighters that come from Dagestan and fighters that come from the rest of the world. But with her, she saw that there was a problem. People were giving her the notice. The UFC maybe had a chat with her about it, and she fixed it. I tip my hat to you, young lady. Absolutely amazing. I'm so happy, because this is the fighter that I expected to see out of you every single time. She looked faster. She fought smarter. She didn't look like she was afraid to get tired.
Looked like she had power in her hands.
She looked like she
still.
had power in her hands. And I also believe that she's going to be able to take shots from these smaller fighters. Because now she's actually able to, these fighters are not bigger than her. She was fighting fighters that are just bigger than her. Now fighting fighters that are about the same size, the power, and she's the faster fighter. So,
well, first off, just go to the way she won. She won by submission.
I know. That's awesome.
Molly McCann won by submission. And hold on. Not only submitted her, dude, she dislocated her arm.
Yeah, that was nasty. She yelled on a
popped
screen.
that sucker.
Yeah.
She popped that sucker. And you know, Molly has been going to grappling tournaments and things like that. That's what you're looking for. Hey, you got to put yourself in a position to lose so you can win. Mm-hmm. And that's what, that's what she's doing. And the fact that I think that was her first submission win ever.
Was it?
And that's
first
impressive. Submission win ever.
Good for her.
Yeah.
When I broke down this fight last week, I thought that Belbita
take a look for that, Dave. See if she has any other submissions.
Yeah, one. That was it.
That's it. Yeah.
When I broke down this fight in the midweek show, I was like, look, I looked up Molly's fights. I looked up Belbita's fights, and I'm like,
well, they had already fought once.
But Belbita was so slow.
Yeah.
The speed, like the way she's so stiff with her combinations, and she throws just ones and twos. And Molly, I'm just like, all right, wow, she looked great at this weight, fast, explosive, all of these things. I'm like, man, this is your fight to lose. You just got to go out there and just put pressure and just pick her apart.
Dave, how long ago did she fight Belbita before?
2019.
Okay, so not that far. All right.
5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years, yeah.
I have a kid that's 5, John. It's 5 years ago.
Yeah, it is 5 years.
That's a long time. I was fighting 5 years ago, John.
Well, so there goes that.
There goes that. Oh, man. All right. But great job. Great performance. Glad to see that she's on track. She understands what she needed to do to be
and what she said. I love what she said to Cormier in the cage. The fact she says, look, you have choices, and I had choices, and it's, what, I want to be a champion. Then I gotta do the things when I'm failing. I got to change the plan, because obviously the plan's not right, and that's what I've been doing. And it's way to go.
Like one of my more famous quotes, even the UFC had kind of posted up about it a couple of times. I said, look, it's
whoa. Are you saying you have a famous quote?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Life is a choice. It's a choice to be successful. Like you have that option. You have that choice to be successful.
Sure.
And look, it may not be the success that you thought it would be, but in the reality of life, that how when we were younger, I used to dream about having a nice car. I used to dream about owning a big house, and maybe it's not what you thought it would be. Like, even though it is now, but it's not like, oh wow, there's all this responsibility that comes along with it. It's not as glamorous as you thought when you were a
that
kid.
part sucks.
It sucks. It sucks. But a lot of people wake up every day wishing they had what you had. Well, what you have now. I mean, I used to pray for these type of things, and now I have it. And so it depends on what your level of success is. But it's a choice, though, to have success, to achieve success. It's your choice. Do what you want with it. But you have the freedoms like everyone. You have 24 hours in the day like everybody else does. So make the best of it. All right, next fight.
All right, we had Charles Johnson taking on Azat Maxim. Maxim, you could tell, is a talented fighter. Charles Johnson is a good fighter and an incredible athlete. He is a good athlete. He is fast, because you watch him in some of his techniques. He's a little bit sloppy, a little bit wild, but it makes him dangerous. But he got hurt, dropped, got put down with another one that was a jab. I don't think he was really hurt in that one. Almost, was put into a submission, worked his way out of that, and from that point, kind of started to take over in the fight. He lost the first round, lost it bad, but I thought the second round he won. And I thought, in the third round, he won.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, he just started letting his hands go at times, controlling it. And I think that Maxim got a little bit, one of those when you haven't lost, you haven't been put into that position where you've had that fight where the guy doesn't quit and he just keeps on coming at you. And eventually you start going, damn, I'm getting a little tired. Damn, he's not stopping. Damn, why is this not working like it has before? Kind of weighed in on him a little bit, and I think it helped Charles Johnson get the win.
I thought there was two things. I thought that Maxim, what happened was he was able to drop him and handle him. He dropped him twice in the first. He was able to handle him all around in that first round. But on that choke, on the Darce,
burned his arms a little
he
bit.
burned his arms out. Or the Anaconda, he couldn't get it to finish. And when he got back up, he wasn't the same fighter anymore. The power on his punches wasn't what it was. And when you're taking that type of fighter and they're realizing that, I was able to hurt him as much as I want. I can take this fight anywhere I want. The second round came and he was exhausted. Just didn't have the same output. He just started throwing ones and twos. He wasn't as accurate with his strikes. He wasn't landing as clean as he was in the first round. I mean, it seemed like every time he hit Charles Johnson in the
all
first,
of a sudden he was off balance.
Yeah.
Which tells you he's tired.
It seemed like every time he hit Charles Johnson the first, Charles Johnson was rocked. He was hurt.
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow, this kid's got some power. He doesn't look like much, but he's got some power.
Dude, I swear to God, as I was watching him in that first round, I'm like, well, dude, we got a new one in the flyweight division. We're gonna be talking about this kid.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as well.
And I think you are. You're still he's gonna be something.
He will. He's gonna learn a lot more from this loss than he would have learned from the win. 100%. But I think also too is if you're an undefeated fighter coming in the UFC and you've had a couple wins in the UFC or 1 or 2 or maybe even 4 or 5, whatever it is, and you're having success doing what you're doing, you have to remember that these fighters, they will fight to almost 9 times out of 10. These fighters, whether they're ranked or whether they're a top guy or not, they're going to fight to the bitter end. To the bitter end. Like, just because you're tapping guys in the gym with this submission that you got doesn't mean you're going to tap this guy who's not as good as that guy in the gym.
Yeah.
But he's going to fight it a lot harder. And there's that little level of intensity. You're going to try to squeeze a little bit more than you normally would in the fight because you think you're going to finish it. When in reality, in the gym, you wouldn't have squeezed that hard because you know that he's too hard to finish because you know that guy. And so you see fighters all the time burn themselves out on chasing submissions inside the cage versus when they're at the gym. They're like, no, I don't have it yet, or it's not on. This guy's tough. He's going to fight me off. He knows. And that's what I saw tonight. I saw was the inexperience, even though he's a good fighter. I saw the inexperience in the top level. And even Charles Johnson's not a top level guy. He's good. He's not a top level guy.
He's a
talented, very good fighter.
Tremendous athlete.
Yes. But that choke would have probably worked on a lot of the guys in the gym, but it didn't work that night. Charles Johnson's whole goal is to defend submissions because he knows that's where he's weak at. And so his whole goal is to sit inside the gym and just, how do I defend? How do I work this out? And that's what he's good at. So when you went to that.
He's used to people putting pressure on him, and he's used to the squeeze. And it's like, I know when I'm going to, I know if I'm not seeing those, I know I'm not going out. So I'm not tapping.
Good defense. Great job.
Yeah.
All right.
Big win for him. Next fight, Pete Rodriguez was taking on Themba Gorimbo. Say it wrong. Gorimbo.
Okay.
And it was fast and nasty.
It was fast and nasty. But before we talk about this fight, make sure you guys go to onlyfans.com/weighing-in, onlyfans.com/weighing-in. Subscribe to us over there. It is free. It is free. So tomorrow, I am going to do a OnlyFans live tomorrow. OnlyFans live tomorrow. Actually, will we do it tomorrow? Let's save it. Let's save it for the midweek. I'm going to save that for the midweek. But go to onlyfans.com/weighing-in. I did one last week. Tons of people jumped on, answered all the questions. We had a great time for about 45 minutes. And I plan on doing another one this week. So make sure you guys subscribe to us over there. It is free. You guys, nothing will come up on your profile or your page if you do not subscribe to it. So if you're afraid that your wife's going to get on there and go, why do you have an OnlyFans account? She will not see anything unless you subscribe to it. So if you only subscribe to us, that's all that matters. Anthony Pettis is on there. Chris Cyborg is on there. AJ McKee is on there. Luke Rockhold's on there. what's her name? Viviana. It's from American Top Team. She's on there. I can't remember her name. She's on there as well. So, yeah. If you guys,
or you could tell your wife when she asks you, "Why are you on OnlyFans?" You can just tell her, "Because I'm a sexy beast."
So I'm trying to tell her you're taking pictures of your feet and you're making money. That's
Woo! There you go,
John. I got some ugly ass feet, dog. I can't be doing that shit.
Flintstone feet, man.
Have I told you the story about LL Cool J?
No,
He has it written in his contract that you can't show his feet in any of the stuff he does. And I asked him, because we did the NCIS LA, and I asked him, I go, why are you? Because he did the fight. I think you were the ref in the fight scene. This was back in like 2011 or 2010 or something like that. Yeah. And he's in the cage fighting, and you're the ref, and I'm on the outside. It was me and like Kong and Frank and everybody, right? Yeah. Gilbert and stuff, and we're laughing, and then he comes out. I'm like, why does he have fucking ninja booties on? And he's like, and I talked to him afterwards. He's like, no, that shit's in my contract. He's like, you can't show my feet. He's like, I got fucked up feet. I was like, wait, they're that mess? He's like, absolutely. He's like, no one can see my feet. Man, my wife makes fun of my fucking feet. I was like, oh shit. So that's great.
Do you remember that movie Boomerang?
Absolutely. Hammer time.
Eddie Murphy.
Hammer time.
It was all about the girls with the nasty feet. It was hysterical.
John, I used to fucking that movie came out when it was still VHS, and I would rewind, play. I watched that movie so many damn times.
It was hysterical.
It was great, man. It was such a great movie. You had Martin Lawrence. You had Eddie Murphy. I can't remember the dorky guy's name. But then you also had Mr. Coordinate. What's his name? Withers. Something Withers, I think, is what his name was. But man, that was a great ass movie. Man.
Open up his jacket.
But yeah,
it's called coordination.
When it was him and his wife, it's the son. What are they in the bathroom for? Man, they're in there fucking. Eddie Murphy thought they were in there getting high. He goes, "No, man, they've been in there fucking." Started laughing. Like, wait, your parents in my bathroom getting down? It's just so fucking great. Oh, great. Any other fights on here you want to chat about?
Oh, yeah. Nah.
What do you think about Garimbo, though? Do you think he's going to end up being a top-level welterweight? He's saying that he's going to be the champ by the end of 2024. Now, everyone that knows the UFC, that ain't going to happen. Now, he may end up be early in the 2025, kind of mid-summer time, but there's no way they're going to give him another 2 fights between now and then, and one of them being the title shot. He's not even in the rankings right now. I could see him making a surge into the top 10. Click on the welterweight division.
Nah.
But I mean, look, there's guys. You put him against Dave, are you still with us?
Dave.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Welterweight. Yeah, Dave, we're talking to you. Click on the welterweight division,
Dave.
Dave.
Sorry. I'm
so glad you're paying attention, Dave. Great job, Dave. Great job. Welterweights, Dave. Double welterweights.
On it again.
There we go. No, but you look at him. Look, he's tall, long, and lanky as well. He's monster for that weight. Go back to Kevin Holland. Go back to Neil Magny. Go back to Michael Chiesa. Go back to Ian Machado. I mean, like, those are fights, man. Those are fights, tall, long, and lanky. If you really wanted to surge him, if they like him that much, go right to Stephen Thomson. Sorry. If you want to surge him, if he's saying he wants to fight for the title by the end of 2024, give him Stephen Thomson.
Just because he says something doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Jerry, UFC's been known to bite. Sometimes they're like, hey, this kid just had a flash knockout. Let's do it.
Yeah, against Pete Rodriguez. Not a bad fighter. Not a bad fighter, but he is standing up in Stephen Thompson's on just a little bit different level.
Sometimes you got to give the fighter what they ask for, John.
Yeah. Sometimes it all comes down to what I always tell people. Be careful what you wish for.
Absolutely. We say this all the time. If you go up, man, you can't go backwards. I mean, if you're going backwards, you're going the wrong direction. Yeah, take your time, especially on that cheap contract. You're on that cheap contract. Take as many easy fights as you can get.
Exactly.
All right. That's going to wrap up our UFC Vegas 85, I believe is what it was. And then we're going to get into a little bit of news. We'll talk 1 or 2 news clips, I think, right now, and then we'll save some of the rest for midweek show.
Yep. Well, let's just talk about the biggest thing then.
Let's go.
There was this whole kerfuffle, I would call it.
Kerfuffle.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did
right.
you say kerfuffle?
Wow.
I sure did.
That must have came from the socialist country, Scotland.
Wow.
I sure
What you
did.
got?
Poirier put out on Twitter, "My fight's off, but still working," and it was a picture of him and someone. And then not long after that, he posted a new caption saying, "Sorry, folks, I jumped the gun. I couldn't get a hold of my manager for a few days. I just spoke with him and Hunter. Misunderstanding on my part. Fight is on. See you March 9th in Miami." And then, so that's kind of like weird that it was like within a few hours that happened. And then MMA Fighting, one of their media guys puts out, puts out a thing about the mess up. And then Dana posts a screenshot from the text with Benoit Saint Denis.
All right, so tell me what the MMA Fighting guy put out. What did he say? You can't jump to just to Dana's response.
It's basically like the UFC exploiting fighters. Is the gist of what he said. Let me find that. But right, so anyway, so I'll pull that up and then you can refer back to it. But
Okay.
Dana posted a screenshot of his text thread with Benoit Saint Denis, calls this MMA Fighting guy a scumbag.
Guillermo Cruz.
Yep. The screenshot from the text message suggests that kind of validates Dana's position that this was all done properly. So while we guys talk about that, I'll go pull the comments made.
I saw some media I saw fans and I saw media saying that, Dustin basically said that to kind of try to get more pressure on them to get what he wanted in the contract negotiations. And if that's true, good on him.
Good for him.
Like, I'm sorry, but that's how the game is played. You've got to find ways. If you announce a fight, and let's just say the fight's not signed, or it is signed, or it hasn't been signed on your side, but it was signed on his, it's not like fight camps. Like, they talk, but they don't talk when it's contract stuff to each other. Like, my manager doesn't talk with his manager and be like, yeah, so, what are you guys making?
No. First off, what people need to understand is, as a fighter, your time to try to get the things that you're going to want for that fight is before you sign on the dotted line. Yeah. Because once you signed on that contract, all the promoters are going to do, be it the UFC, be it the PA, they're going to go back and say, well, it doesn't say that in the contract. So you need to get it done before you put your name on that piece of paper. Your signature means something. And if you're not happy with something, you've got to confront it before you put your signature there. Mm-hmm. That's business.
Yeah, I think that what I've seen, John, I've been kind of harsh on the MMA media lately, but these type of things just don't seem to go away. It seems like there is
because people want to be first instead of being right.
It's not just about being first, John. Like, look, I've been accused probably by most of our fans in the comments and most of our fans that listen to our show about how, like, oh, we have this thing against UFC or we have this thing against Dana. I can tell you what I can tell you is my experiences I've had with Dana. And I don't talk about all of them because some of them are private, and I keep those to myself because those are things that I know about between Dana and I, and that's it. I keep those to myself. Now there's other things that I feel like that can be shared on my show, and I've shared some of those things. And there's also things that I understand when I see the media doing things. I don't care. Like what I mean I don't care is that Dana, I feel, has done a lot for the sport. And I can look at it.
When have you or when have I ever said that he hasn't?
I don't think we ever have.
No.
Yeah. And my comments with anything to do with Dana White, I can see both sides. I can definitely put any type of bias I would ever have against him, which I have no bias. Like, I can just tell people like it is. I just feel that right now, I don't know if it's because of the Dana White support for Trump, the Dana White support for conservative values. Let's be honest. Let's just throw it all out there. I really believe that a lot of our MMA media has different views, different political views than him. And so they find any possible way they can to attack him for any type of thing, especially now coming up in 2024 in the election season. Let's go ahead and point out every little fucking thing you guys can to try and point and basically degrade him or to basically make him feel like he's a scumbag. Oh, the class action lawsuit. Oh, this and that. There's so many steps that need to be in this process with the class action. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay. Whether that goes through or not, whatever. But I'm simply saying, like, let's not continue to tear this whole thing down because you guys don't like political views or you guys think that he's doing this and he's doing that. What I've seen is a lot of negativity. I haven't seen anyone write a fucking opinion piece on how to fix it outside of, oh, let's just bring the Muhammad Ali Act in, or let's just do this. You guys have no fucking clue what you're talking about. And that's what drives me crazy. Like, you guys have no solutions. All you guys have is complaining pieces that you guys are writing. That's all opinionated pieces, what you guys are writing. And it's all complaints. Complaints about Dana does this. Complaints about Dana does that. Why don't you guys write a piece about how thousands or hundreds of them, but also like over years, it's been thousands of us have been able to make a living. Have you not made a piece about that? Like that's where it's so upsetting sometimes.
You got to look and think that, many of them have a job based upon the hard work of Dana White.
Absolutely.
People that did things, that they never had any part of, but those things are what ended up making it to where that person could have that job. So I just look at it, look, is Dana perfect? Absolutely not. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. Are you perfect? Absolutely not. Okay. There are things that Dana has done, even with me, do you remember when the whole COVID thing happened, right? Dana came out and it was almost that it was Habib and Tony Ferguson. Mm-hmm. He wanted that fight to happen. And the whole COVID thing kind of hit in March.
No, February 13th.
Was it February? Okay. And he wanted to have that fight. And the one thing
March
that he 13th, was going to do.
My bad. It was March 16th. March 13th is when we got shut
March.
down. Our show was
March 13th.
The 13th.
Yeah.
They shut us down.
And he wanted to have that fight. And he said, look, that fight's going to happen. And then he tried to go to Tachi Palace in California, right? And that was without the California State Athletic Commission. That's the only time I ever said anything about, hey, you're making a mistake. Don't do this. It's wrong. And it had nothing to do with COVID as far as it had to do with you were going to go into a location in California that has a athletic commission that you work with, and you were going to go do a show without them, and there was no regulation other than what you were bringing, which would have been fine, but you were taking such a step backwards, and it had nothing to do with COVID. And then he came out with they put together the
montage of everything.
Yeah, and it used that like I was saying, because I was all for them going to Jacksonville, Florida. When you had the Florida Athletic Commission, I said that's awesome. That's great that they're going to do it. But he used me, and I'm like, and there was a little thing that went back and forth. It's like, hey, don't take things out of context. You know what that was about, and you know it was wrong. That's why you didn't end up doing it. And there's going to be those things, and there's going to be those things that, people have opinions. I have opinions, but overall, Dana White has been very good for MMA. He has made the sport grow. And I used to say it all the time back when, they took over and it was Zuffa, and, Dana was, he was a dweeb with a fucking horseshoe head. I was one of the ones that, dude, shave your head, man. If I had hair like that, I'm shaving that sumbitch. But back then I would say, Dana was getting on Southwest airline flights and going to places and putting videos in Blockbuster Video. He was doing everything he could to try to make the sport catch. People have a lot to say thank you to him for all that, because that eventually, he wasn't perfect. He made mistakes, but eventually it was people like him and the hard work that he and Lorenzo that ended up making it all work. So
Yeah.
we all have jobs, basically. No, he has a job because I did things before. So fuck him for that. Just kidding.
Look, COVID, during that week, we did a show, and I remember myself saying, he's working too hard to make this show happen. I think it would be best to cancel this one show. I'm not saying cancel everything. I said, look, let's see what happens after a week or two. They said, remember, 2 weeks to flatten the curve kind of bullshit. 2 years later, we're still trying to flatten the fucking curve. All right. But my point was look, if that was on, because our show was on the 13th of March, their show was supposed to be that weekend, correct? Or the following weekend.
Well,
and
yeah. They had one, I want to say
it was the next day in Brasilia.
It was Tony Ferguson. No, excuse me. Charles Oliveira against Kevin Lee.
Yep. That was in Brasilia. In Brasilia.
And they ended up doing it, but with no crowd.
Yes. That was in Brasilia. But then the following week, wasn't it Khabib or somebody, or 2 weeks? Was it 1 week or 2 weeks?
Yes.
And they were trying to shove it through everyone. They were trying to get it passed, and every state was shutting down. Florida was, I think, thinking about it or something, but then everything was still shut down.
Yeah, no, Florida was shut down at that point.
And so I was like, you know what? Maybe we're pushing this a little bit too hard. Let's just see what happens. Let's give the 2 weeks its full 2 weeks. That was my take on that whole situation.
Yeah. And I'm being honest. My take had nothing to do with COVID.
Yeah.
My take had to do, dude, you are making a huge mistake and taking so many steps backwards from what, because look at when Dana and Lorenzo first took over, one of their things was, the old UFC used to run from regulation and we're running towards it. Now that wasn't true. Okay. I'm just being honest about it. We were running towards regulation since UFC 15. They came in UFC 30. At one point, yes, that's a true statement. The UFC in the early days was running from regulation because, that was the way we could put on the shows. But it was, they had used that so much to, help get themselves where they're at. Now you were taking all these steps backwards and actually doing what you said you never would do. Mm-hmm. And I was like, don't do that, man. It's going to end up biting you in the ass. And they didn't. Yeah. And, but it's all, things in the past that people look at, they throw up there. It's like, you have no idea.
But for the record, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, for the record, Guilherme Cruz said, 2 days in a row where fights were announced by Dana are now off because, they never really done a deal. And then he goes on to say, BSD's coach, Daniel Warren, told me weeks ago he had no idea about the fight before it was announced by Dana. They loved it, sure, but were surprised by the announcement. Benoit was sleeping when the news broke. His wife woke him up saying, hey, you're fighting Poirier, and laughing. But then obviously Dana puts the screenshots of the text out.
Look, to go back on this, the media has taken this thing where it feels like everything is negative. They try to do anything they can to exploit somehow that Dana White is a scumbag and Dana White is fucking over the fighters and Dana White is doing this, doing that. It's just starting to become so obvious and so apparent that it's like, it really makes you want to turn off all of the MMA media. Be like, look, you guys obviously have no idea what the fuck is going on. And lastly, I'm going to say this. Is at any moment, like John said, you guys all have jobs in the MMA space covering this sport because of the UFC being such a big promotion.
Yep.
Everyone, you guys all have jobs. At any moment, if he wasn't so freedom of speech, now he can take digs at you guys. At any moment, he could turn to every one of his fighters, send out notices, and say, if you guys talk to this network, or this media source, okay, you guys will be cut. Has he done that? If he said there'd be no MMA Hour anymore, there'd be no more MMA Junkie, there'd be no more.
Think about this. Yeah, think about this, Josh. As simple as you say that, not cut. All he's got to do is basically say, hey, if you end up talking to this media outlet or this journalist or this reporter or this guy, just don't expect any bonuses because they're not coming your way. That's just the bonus.
Yeah.
What do you think would happen? most of those guys would say,
well, he wouldn't
lose
even
a
have to
bonus?
turn it to the fighters. He would just call in the handful of management that runs pretty much the sport of fighters and just say, hey,
true.
You 4 fighters or you 4 managers or 5 managers.
You need to go tell your
there,
people.
basically, when your fighters are being told, like, hey, I'm going to book you for this. A lot of this goes through like their media people. You know, every manager has a media person that books them some media, pretty much. You know, the top ones do. If you say, hey, if your fighters want to have access to bonuses, then they won't take they won't do media interviews with these media sources. That lets you know, like, he has control to do that. Has he done it to you guys yet? No, he hasn't. So the fact that he is freedom of speech, the fact that he is that way, allows all of you guys to continue making money and being profitable off of this. Now, you guys would still write your stories. You guys would still be able to cover the sport. You guys would still but having guests on, like I said, the MMA hour, it would be gone. There'd be no MMA hour. You could do boxing, sure, but no one's going to tune in for MMA hour when it's boxing. They'll watch, of course, they're going to watch some of it. If you've got Tyson Fury on, you got Usyk on, you've got Wilder on, someone's going to tune in. Canelo, whatever. You got some. Those are top level boxers. So and I love, just so we're very clear, I'm not just pointing out Ariel and MMA Hour. I'm just simply saying he is very his show is very guest driven. Obviously, MMA Hours, it's all guest. And so I'm just simply saying, I'm using that as an example because that's the one that everyone would recognize the most because of Ariel and what he's done for the sport. I'm not taking a dig at Ariel at all. I like what Ariel does. I think he does a great job at what he does. I want to make sure that is very clear to wrap this whole thing up in this conversation. In terms of what Guillermo did, look, Dana's going to have his 2 cents. Like, you're going to have your 2 cents and your opinion pieces. Like all media is going to take it for what it is. He replied to you. That means that whatever you said pissed him off enough for him to give a response. All it did was garner you more clicks. That's all it did. So in this clickbait world that we live in right now, congratulations is correct. Like I said, I'm not trying to take digs at the media. I know I normally do, but in these type of situations, it's just starting to become very, very evident that I don't know if it has to do with the political stance or if it has to do with how Dana treats, if they believe how Dana treats the fighters, whether it's backdoor dealings or whether it's, contracts, not being done, or this, emails and stuff that are being exposed because of the class action lawsuit. Some of you guys are getting a hold of those and you're seeing what's being said. Do you think that fighters really believe that Dana doesn't, or Lorenzo or whoever? You guys they're businessmen. They're going to say, man, that guy's being a total pain in my fucking ass. This guy thinks he's worth more than he really is. You are delusional as a fighter if you don't believe that these guys are like, man, he really thinks he's that good. That's why you have managers. So your feelings don't get hurt.
There you go.
Because that is the number one thing. You are going to always believe that you are worth more than you really are, or you're going to believe that you're worth this much. In reality, you could be worth that much, but you're only worth as much as someone's willing to pay you. And if you're in the biggest promotion in the world, which is the UFC right now, is whatever Dana's willing to pay you is what you're really worth. You can go somewhere else and check it out.
You can go somewhere else and find out, and then if they will pay you more, then you're worth that.
Yes, exactly. But you've got to test. You go out there and test the waters and see if you're worth that. A lot of fighters don't want to take that chance. So
because they're afraid of what someone's going to say.
But the media has been skewed now. Like it's starting to become, as I'm flipping through Twitter and I'm reading some of the media stuff, the headlines and the clickbait and it's constant negativity towards Dana, and it's a constant thing, and it's becoming a little bit more evident.
Can I sit there here and say one thing off of it though?
Yeah.
Dana doesn't give a shit.
No, I know. Look, as long as it keeps,
he's like, if they think that they're ever gonna get to him, ain't happening. He's
above.
Been in it too long. Mm-hmm. He's got thick skin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's a big boy.
No, I agree. It's funny because I hear some of these old school fighters, when the class action thing starts coming through, and They're talking about it. I mean, they literally are just, Dana's going to get it. We're going to stick it to him. I'm like, you're not going to stick it to him at all.
No,
Like,
money's not going to come out of his pocket.
no, nothing's going to happen to him. Like, it's, like, oh, you're going to, your guys are going to get it. UFC's going to get it. Maybe the UFC is going to end up paying something, but
well, the UFC is going to,
if it happens,
you know.
Anyways.
But that's the UFC as a company. It's not Dana White.
All right. Well, hey, we've ranted on enough about that.
We beat this one.
We beat it to a pulp.
Death.
Oh man. All right. Hey, before we go, guys, make sure you guys subscribe to us. Hit that little subscribe button, hit the bell and notifications. Thank you guys so much. Go to WeighingInMerch.com. It is hoodie season. Hoodie season.
Hoodie season.
Hoodie season. It is getting close to Valentine's Day. You could squeeze in there.
You gotta be squeezing.
All right, guys. Go to WeighingInMerch.com. That was very lame, by the way. WeighingInMerch.com. Pick up some of our hoodies, our hats, and everything else available there. So check it all out at WeighingInMerch.com. Subscribe to us. Hit the little bell notifications for our shows that drop during the midweek. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. I know we went a little off task today, John. This is a little bit. We don't normally go in that direction. Just today was one of those days, man.
Who cares?
But John, take us away, buddy.
For everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you.